Alrighty guys, welcome to our free college basketball pick show video here today for Monday, February 6, 2023. Happy Monday to you. Hopefully you had a great weekend. My name is Brock Page. I've been doing sports picks for free on YouTube since 2016. And if you want to see today's full NBA pick show video, where I give you a pick on the side and the total of every single ball game in the NBA here today, there's only one way to do that. That's to access that video on my website. And the only way you can access that video is to join my full access, all-inclusive board member package. Board members get access to every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just $1.66 a day for that full access package. And of course, guys, as an added bonus, once again, you're also going to get access to today's full NBA pick show video as a board member as well. I currently have over 525 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. And with that, guys, we have a lot of small school action, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start off with Tarleton State taking on Texas Arlington, 5 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Now, Tarleton's minus 1.5 on the road, totals 129 and a hook. Now, the Texans of Tarleton State, they've done a nice job on defense this year. They're allowing just 67 points a game, and they're also doing a good job grabbing defensive boards. Freddie Hicks is grabbing over 5.5 rebounds a night. He's also the team's leading scorer. Meanwhile, Lou Williams is averaging a dozen points a game. He's also drilling 41% of his three-pointers. Now, they're facing a Texas Arlington team who has a tough time guarding the three-pointer themselves. They have one of the highest defensive three-point percentages in the WAC. And when it comes to offensive production, these guys have really had a tough time getting to the basket. They're making only 40% of their attempts from the field. Now, total-wise, the Mavericks of Texas Arlington, they saw unders recently against the likes of New Mexico State and Stephen F. Austin. Meanwhile, Tarleton went 60% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Tarleton State minus 1.5, under 129 and a hook. Next game, UMass Lowell taking on Hartford, 6 o'clock Eastern start time. Maslow's minus 16, totals 138. Now, UMass Lowell's a really good basketball team. I'm pretty sure you're not even aware of who they are or what that is. But UMass Lowell, very good team. They're a top 25 field goal shooting team in the entire country. And they're actually one of the best rebounding teams in the country as well. They're currently in the top 10 in the nation in offensive boards per game. Now, Abdul Kareem Coulibaly, he averages over 8 rebounds a night. He's also scoring a dozen points a game. Meanwhile, Everett Hammond, he leads the team in scoring and also drills 40% of his long balls. And speaking of long balls, Hartford has one of the highest defensive three-point percentages in the nation. When it comes to offensive production, they average only 64 points per contest. They're also one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the American East. Now, total-wise, Hartford saw their last 3 straight stay under the number. Meanwhile, Maslow saw unders against the likes of Albany, New Hampshire, and Binghamton. I'm going to lean toward UMass Lowell minus 16, under 138. Next contest, actually on our big screen behind me, it is going to be Lafayette taking on Holy Cross, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Lafayette's minus 2.5 on the road, totals 126 and a hook. And even though Lafayette has been terrible, they actually do a pretty nice job on defense, believe it or not. The Leopards are getting up only 64 points a game. They also covered the number in 6 out of their last 10. Covers against the likes of Loyola Maryland, American University, and this very Holy Cross team. That cover against Holy Cross, that was actually a 14-point victory back on January 14th, where they held the Crusaders to just 48 total points. Now, C.J. Fulton, he has 48 steals on the season for the Leopards. He's also averaging double-digit points a game, and he's making nearly 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Leo O'Boyle, he's making just about 40% of his long balls himself. O'Boyle currently leads the team in points. Now, they're facing a Holy Cross team who lost 7 out of their last 10. And they have a real tough time underneath the basket. These guys are arguably the worst rebounding team in the Patriot League. They also average just 66 points a game. and they have one of the lowest free throw percentages in the country. Now, total-wise, Holy Cross saw unders against the likes of Army, Lehigh, and this very Lafayette team. Meanwhile, the Leopards on the other side, they went 6-2 to the under in their last 8. I'm going to lean toward Lafayette minus 2.5, under 126 and a hook. Next ball game, it is going to be Duke taking on Miami, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Miami's minus 3.5, totals 145 and a hook. Now, when it comes to selecting a winner in this one, both teams have some real positive areas that does make this game relatively tough to handicap. Now, starting with Miami, they're currently undefeated at home, and they rank in the top 25 in the country in shooting from the field. Isaiah Wong, he's the Canes' leading scorer with over 16 points a night. Meanwhile, Nigel Pack, he scores a dozen points a game, and he's also drilling 40% of his long balls. Now, for Duke on the other side, a lot of good things there as well. They're currently on a 3-game winning streak, and they allowed just 57 points a game on average during that short span. When it comes to grabbing boards, the Blue Devils are arguably the best rebounding team in the ACC. Kyle Filipowski, he grabs nearly double-digit boards a game, and he also leads the team in scoring. Now, total-wise, Duke did see overs against the likes of Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and Pitt. Meanwhile, Miami saw 6 out of their last 8 get over the total themselves. So as far as making a lean toward the number in this one, I'm going to lean toward the over 145.5 in that game. As far as selecting a winner in this one, well, this game is being featured as one of my premium plays on my website. And the best way to access all of my premium content is to sign up for my full access, all-inclusive board member package on that site. And once again, guys, board members get access to every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just $1.66 a day. And for today, as an added bonus, guys, you're also going to get access to my full NBA Pick Show video as a board member as well. All right, moving on, some more small school action. I'm talking about Idaho State taking on Northern Arizona, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Northern Arizona is minus 3.5, totals 139 and a hook. And for a team laying 3.5 points here, Northern Arizona has played some horrible basketball. They lost 7 out of their last 8, and they do a terrible job on defense. These guys are giving up 75 points a game. They're also having a tough time guarding the field goal. Now they're facing an Idaho State team who covered in 6 out of their last 10, and they're playing some pretty good defense. These guys are actually limiting their competition to just 30% shooting from 3-land. Of course, Brock McKenzie, he's leading the charge on defense. He has 17 steals on the season. Now, McKenzie's also scoring a dozen points a game, and he's also drilling 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, teammate Miguel Tomley, he scores a dozen points a game himself. When it comes to the injury report, Jared Rodriguez, he's still out for Idaho State. Now, when it comes to the total, the Bengals of Idaho State, they saw unders against the likes of Portland State, Sacramento State, and Weber State. Meanwhile, Northern Arizona saw unders in 3 out of their last 6. I'm going to lean toward Idaho State plus 3.5, under 139 and a hook. All right, next matchup I have for you. It is going to be Mississippi Valley State taking on Alcorn, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Alcorn State's minus 11, totals 136. And for those of you who've been following the SWAC this year, I actually think this actually feels like a generous number for Alcorn. They're 8-1 straight up in their last 9 ball games, and they played some pretty tough defense in those victories. And speaking of defensive play, the Braves are limiting their opponents to just 32% shooting from beyond the arc. Byron Joshua, he has 28 steals on this season. The guard is also averaging double-digit points a game. Meanwhile, Dominic Bruton, he scores a team-high 13 points a night. Now, they're facing a Mississippi Valley State team who lost 8 out of their last 10, and they actually have just 3 wins for the entire season. And to be completely honest, the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State, they do everything wrong. They don't do anything right. They're averaging just 58 points a game offensively, and they just can't rebound the basketball. When it comes to defensive play, well, they're allowing more points a game than most teams in college basketball. Now, total-wise, Mississippi Valley State, they saw overs in 6 out of their last 9. Meanwhile, Alcorn went 6-3 to the over in their last 9 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Alcorn State minus 11 over 136. Next matchup, it is going to be Grambling taking on Alabama A&M, 8 o'clock East. Grambling's minus 3.5, totals 136 and a hook. Now, Grambling's played some pretty tough defense this season. As a matter of fact, these guys are in the top 10 in the nation in defending the field goal. The Tigers currently have a defensive field goal percentage of just 39%. Shondarius Cowart, he has 41 steals on the year defensively. He's also scoring 11 points a game. Meanwhile, Cam Kristen, he's scoring a team-high 14 points a night himself. They're facing an A&M team who failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9. The Bulldogs are also one of the worst rebounding teams in the SWAC. Now, total-wise, the Bulldogs did go 6-1 to the under in their last 7. Meanwhile, Grambling saw unders against the likes of Alabama State, Alcorn, and Mississippi Valley. I'm going to lean toward Grambling minus 3.5, under 136 and a hook. Next ball game, it is going to be Wisconsin-Green Bay taking on UW-MILWaukie, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Milwaukee's minus 17, totals 142. The Milwaukee Panthers won 8 out of their last 10, and they played some pretty tough defense. They're limiting their opponents to just 39% shooting from the field. They're also in the top 10 in the nation in guarding the three-pointer. Kentrell Pullian has 24 steals and 5 blocks. He's also second on the team in scoring. Meanwhile, B.J. Freeman, he scores a team-high 16 points a game. Now, they're facing a Green Bay team who's got just 2 wins on the season, and they give up a whole lot of points. The Phoenix allows 77 points a game, and their opponents make 50% of their field goals against them. Now, total-wise, Green Bay saw 5 out of their last 9 get over the line, throwing out that IUPUI game. Meanwhile, Milwaukee went 5-4 to the over in their last 9 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee minus 17 over 142. Next game, it is going to be Southern taking on Alabama State, 8:30 p.m. East. Southern's minus 6, totals 141. Now, Southern got the W in 8 out of their last 10, and they covered in 80% of those matchups. Now, the Jaguars have also been crisp on the offensive end of the court. They're averaging 75 points a game offensively, and they shoot the 3-ball quite well. Bryson Etienne, he's making just about 40% of his 3-pointers. He's also scoring 11 points a game. Meanwhile, teammate Brian Whitley, he's scoring a dozen points a night himself. Now, they're facing an Alabama State team who's on a 4-game skid, and they give up all kinds of points. The Hornets allow 75 points a game, and they're arguably the worst defensive rebounding team in the nation. Now, when it comes to offensive production in this one, Alabama State's making a pitiful 36% of their shots from the field. When it comes to the total, Alabama State somehow saw overs against the likes of Florida A&M, Alcorn State, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Now, Southern went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean towards Southern minus 6 over 141. Next matchup, it is going to be Arkansas Pine Bluff taking on Jackson State, 8:30 p.m. East. Jackson State's minus 4, totals 140.5. Now, the Jackson State Tigers lost their last 3 straight, and they're arguably the worst defensive team in the SWAC. The Tigers allow 77 points a game, and their opponents are making nearly 48% of their field goals against them. Now, when it comes to offensive production, Jackson State has been little threat shooting the long ball. They make only 29% of their 3-pointers. Now, they're facing an Arkansas Pine Bluff team who's currently in the top 25 in defensive 3-point percentage. Now, the Golden Lions also covered the point spread in 7 out of their last 8. Sean Doss, he's currently scoring a team-high 17 points per contest. Meanwhile, teammate Kylan Milton, he averages over 13 points per game himself. When it comes to the total, Arkansas Pine Bluff saw unders in 6 out of their last 10. Meanwhile, Jackson State went 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Arkansas Pine Bluff plus 4, under 140.5. Next contest I have for you, it is going to be Florida A&M taking on Prairie View, 8:30 p.m. East. Prairie View's minus 10, totals 124.5. And even though it does feel like Prairie View is the better team, which I think they are, they could be the worst shooting team right now in the SWAC. They're making only 39% of their field goals. And even worse than that, the Panthers are drilling only 26% of their three-pointers. Now, they're facing a Florida A&M team who actually plays some pretty decent defense themselves. They're limiting their competition to just 32% shooting from three land. So I don't think three-pointers are going to be a factor here today. And as a team, the Rattlers covered the point spread in 4 out of their last 5. Jalen Bates, he's making 41% of his long balls. He averages just about double-digit points a game. Meanwhile, Jordan Tillman, he's averaging double-digit points a game himself. When it comes to the total, Florida A&M went 80% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Prairie View saw unders in 8 out of their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Florida A&M plus 10, under 124.5. Next contest, it is going to be Texas taking on Kansas. 9 o'clock Eastern showdown. Kansas is minus 3.5, totals 146. Now, I'll tell you what, both teams have been really good with the ball in their hands. We'll start with Kansas here. The Jayhawks are scoring 76 points a game, and they do a nice job grabbing offensive boards. Jalen Wilson, he's grabbing nearly 9 rebounds a night. He also scores 21 points a game. Meanwhile, Grady Dick, he's pounding 42% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, the Longhorns of Texas on the other side, they've done their fair share of scoring themselves. They're making 48% of their field goals, and they're averaging just about 80 points a game. Marcus Carr, he's scoring 16 points a night. He's also making nearly 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Timmy Allen, he averages double-digit points a game himself. Now, when it comes to the total, oddly enough, Texas saw unders in 3 out of their last 5, unders against the likes of Kansas State, Baylor, and West Virginia. Meanwhile, Kansas, they saw 3 out of their last 5 stay under the line themselves. So when it comes to making a play on the total in this one, at least giving you a free lean here, I am going to lean toward the under 146 in that game. Hopefully we can avoid overtime. And when it comes to selecting a winner in this one, this game is also being featured as one of my premium plays on my website. Once again, the best way to access all of my premium content is to sign up to my full access, all-inclusive board member package on that site. And once again, guys, board members get access to every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just $1.66 a day for that package. And for today, guys, as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to my full NBA Pick Show video as a board member as well. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Bethune-Cookman taking on Texas Southern, 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Texas Southern is minus 7, totals 144. Now, Texas Southern lost 7 out of their last 10, and they've had a real tough time covering during that time frame. The Tigers covered the point spread in just 20% of those contests I just mentioned. When it comes to offensive production, these guys could possibly be the worst three-point shooting team in the nation. The Tigers are making only 26% of their shots from beyond the arc. Now they're facing a Bethune-Cookman team who's on a 3-game winning streak themselves. And they also do a real nice job covering the point spread. Out of their last 10 ball games, the Wildcats covered the point spread in 80% of those contests. Now, Zion Harmon, he's scoring a team-best 14 points a game. Meanwhile, teammate Marcus Garrett, he makes 41% of his shots from downtown. Now, when it comes to the scoring, Bethune-Cookman went 7-2 to the over in their last 9. Meanwhile, Texas Southern went 70% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Bethune-Cookman plus 7 over 144. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It is going to be Weber State taking on Northern Colorado, 11 o'clock Eastern start time. Northern Colorado is minus 2, totals 142. And Northern Colorado lost 8 out of their last 10. They play some really bad defense. The Bears give up over 78 points a game. They're letting their opponents make nearly 50% of their field goals. Now, they're facing a Weber State team who shoots good from the field and the stripe. Matter of fact, Weber State's in the top 10 in the country in offensive free throw percentage. Steve Verplanken shoots nearly 90% from the stripe and 40% from three-land. Meanwhile, Dylan Jones, he averages a team-high 15.5 points per contest. Now, when it comes to the total, Weber saw 4 out of their last 5 get over the number. Meanwhile, Northern Colorado saw overs against the likes of Northern Arizona, Eastern Washington, and Montana. I'm going to lean toward Weber State +2 over 142. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our quick pick recap. I like Tarleton State -1.5 under 129 and a hook. Give me UMass Lowell -16 under 138. Lafayette -2.5 under 126 and a hook. I also like the over 145.5 in the Duke-Miami game. Give me Idaho State +3.5 under 139 and a hook. Alcorn State -11 over 136. Grambling -3.5 under 136.5. UW-MILW -17 over 142. Southern -6 over 141. Arkansas Pine Bluff +4 under 140.5. Florida A&M +10 under 124 and a hook. I also like the under 146 in the Texas-Kansas game. Give me Bethune-Cookman +7 over 144. With my next and final free pick, I'm going to lean toward Weber State +2 over 142. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, if you guys do end up getting a package here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, you're going to get access to that membership for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus here, guys, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. That's why I say my board member package, it's an all-inclusive full access membership. You get access to all my plays, every package, every day for the next 30 days. And of course, you're also going to get access to my NBA free pick video today, the entire slate. You're going to get that as a board member today as well. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube or TikTok. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.